a lasting impressions. And I'm sure the participants are going to have a very interactive session today. And a little bit of Ritu ma'am, she has been a very active member of our Delhi Teachers Forum, and she has taken this initiative for our members to conduct webinar. We were planning for a seminar, but due to conditions that are prevalent right now, we couldn't have a seminar. But I'm glad that with the help of a webinar, at least we are connected. She is the head of the Department of English. She is a certified soft skills trainer and is also very active on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn, where she shares her lessons, her experience, and life lessons. So I'm really grateful to ma'am accept and taken this challenge of conducting a webinar for our members. Thanks to our moderator for the day, Kaushal Singh ma'am, who is the head of the Department of English, People's Public School, Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. I mean, you have taken out your time for the service of our members and imparting some useful lessons for us. So thank you so much. And I will hand over the proceedings to Ritu ma'am, who will take the session for the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much.
Yourself mute until the session goes on. And afterwards, if you have any question or a query, so please post it in the chat box. So
Fine.
I'm handing over rights to Ritu ma'am right now, and she is going to start the session. Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Now it is in your control.
Good
Thank
evening,
you.
everyone.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Thank you for those kind words, and I look forward to making this session as interesting as the last one was. We are actually going to talk about how to make an impactful first impression. Before I do that, I would like to thank Mr. Matthews. He's the organizer for this session. Apart from that, he plays a very big role in helping all the educators collaborate and share resources. He's the founder of All India Educators Forum, and that is a very big platform for all of us to share our learnings and our resources. So I'm going straight to the webinar and the topic, the art of making an impactful first impression. I start with a statement. You cannot not make an impression. Even going downstairs for a stroll in the garden, you cannot not leave an impression. Somewhere down the line, there is a particular impression you leave on the observers. So we know that we will always leave an impression no matter where we go. So why not use this knowledge to our own benefit? Let us maximize on this situation, on this fact that leaving an impression is something we cannot ever not do. So why not use it to benefit from it? So let's see what we're going to talk about in today's session. We're going to learn about what is a first impression, when is it formed, why your first impression is important, the elements.
What are the elements of a first impression? Apart from that, when we have knowledge of the elements, we will learn how to leverage it to our advantage.
So let's go quickly to this first impression and identify what is it actually. Let's define it as, it is an idea, feeling or opinion about something or someone, especially one forms without a conscious thought or on the basis of little evidence. These two lines I have deliberately underlined because the impression is formed without any conscious or categorically making any specific effort. That impression we leave on happens subconsciously. We don't even realize that this is how our actions are going to be
Interpreted.
In the way we are interpreted is on the basis of very little evidence. Even when I look at a photograph, I form an opinion about that person. What evidence do I have? It's just a photograph, and the cues that I get from those the body language or the look on the face or what he's wearing, that is the basis on which I make an impression. So the impression is never consciously made, and the impression at times it is not based on evidence which can make it the last impression. So let's understand, it's actually a conversation you have with yourself. At times what happens, I wonder what
impression I must have left on him.
impression while making friends, and think, what do they think about me? Parents may wonder what impression their kids have made on guests. And at times one would wonder, you have seen many children, what do they do in our class? Students in our class, they try their best to leave an impression on us. And if they try to do that, what do we see? We see that they at times make it very obvious that they're trying to leave an impression. So even children recognize the fact that actually if I act like this, I will leave a positive impression. So those impressions may either be positive or negative. It depends upon how we portray them. And to a great extent, it also depends upon the observer's perspectives. We'll come to that role as well. Before that, let's go on to one very short video, introduction. I want you to just try to understand what is it that their demeanor and their behavior projects. What is it that we try to interpret from their behavior? So I'm without any interaction. I'm just
here they are arriving at number 10, and look at this lucky policeman gets to shake hands with the President of the United States. Oh, and here comes the Prime Minister of it. No.
So what happens? Barack Obama, the former president of United States, shook his hand, and equal importance to this man, irrespective of what work or what designation he had. Following the president comes the prime minister, and he doesn't shake the hand. I don't know about his beliefs, I don't know about his attitude, but here in a glimpse of a second, in a few minutes only, I form an opinion that, see, the president of the United States has shook his hand, but the prime minister didn't. So I do form some opinion about these two personalities. So let's go on. It's not fair. Is it fair? Just one glance at somebody and we make an opinion, have an opinion about him. But it is a fact that the impression you make is you in the mind of others. It's you in the mind of others, and that impression varies depending upon the observer's predetermined, prejudiced notions about height, color, origin, etc. That impression varies. That's what I said earlier also, that the impression we are going to throw upon others is definitely in our hands. We have the power to influence someone's opinion about us. But at the same time, suppose I enter a room and there's a room to give an interview. There are a number of panelists in the interview. I may not have left the same impression on all of them. All of them might have rated me differently related to the way I entered, and rest is obviously according to the interview given. But majorly, the first impression is the moment I walk into that room. And look at some images. If I look at this image, I would request you to kindly write in the chat box, what is the opinion that comes to your mind when you look at her? When you look at her, what is the opinion that comes to your mind? What could be her personality? How does she come out to be? Any one-word answers to that? A traditional teacher. Roshni ma'am says a traditional. It's the look at times we give when we are at times catching a student in the child, maybe in the classroom, maybe copying answers or something, that I've caught you. So let's see, yes, a strict teacher and maybe unapproachable, unfriendly, as Charul ma'am has said. So let's see the next one. Suppose I go to visit somebody and this is a boy who is watching his television program, a Netflix series, and this is the look he gives to me. What do you think? What do you think this is all about? So what intently observing? What else? Is he angry? Can we say he's angry, a troublemaker, maybe notorious? Somebody has written on the screen, enthusiastic and fun-loving. This girl over here, if I come across her, she seems to be very enthusiastic and fun-loving. What about her? If I am supposed to join a company and I see I have to work with this fine young lady, how does she come out to be? Pleasing, definitely. Renu ma'am has said pleasing. Come across just pictures. Even when we see these pictures, we can see that they also leave an impact. Seductive, Khyati says, definitely. So maybe it has something to do in the look in her eyes, easygoing, and the tattoo and all maybe makes her bold. So these are opinions. What I wanted to say is, again, we all are different observers and we have different opinions about these people. If we look at this man over here, what comes to our mind? Maybe his, yes, I'm waiting for some responses. A dude, yes, easygoing dude. He doesn't, tough, maybe cool, okay. Confident, yes, and challenges the status quo. If you look at the tattoos, there's something that makes us feel that. So I hope I got my point across, that these all are just photographs. And even if we see these photographs, we all have different opinions about it. But are they just that? They are much more than what meets the eye. We cannot simply zero down to these acclamations that this is the personality of these people. We have the power to influence how others perceive us. It is not only appearance, it is the change within that is projected, and that is what is going to open doors of opportunities. What I want, see, what happens is when we look at him, when we say that person has left a particular impression upon us, majorly we believe that it is all about out, but it is more than that. It is all about your inward feeling that is projected outward. If you're feeling confident within, you will dress up in such a manner that is going to pass on that message. The change within that is projected, that is what our impression, or what impactful impression we can leave. Now, how are these impressions formed and when? Any guesses? How much time does it take for impressions to form? How much time does it take for impressions to form? Okay, let me give you a hint. Impressions are formed within seconds of a meeting. Yes, fraction of a second. Absolutely. So yes, a first impression is formed in seconds of people meeting us. Now, how many seconds? The research on this question varies a lot. Some believe it takes 2 or 3 seconds. There was a study done by Princeton. The psychologists at Princeton found that it takes only 1/10 of a second to form an impression on somebody. whatever study or figure we choose to follow, because there are different versions of this study, what is sure is that these impressions are made fast. To give you a benchmark to go by, the decisions or the judgments the other person is going to make about you will happen on an average of 7 seconds. And in this short amount of time, that is what we have to actually use, those seconds. I move this chat box aside. In a quick glance, we can form an opinion about others based on their appearance, body language, demeanor, mannerisms, and even dress. Now let us play. I want you to imagine yourself as one of the people standing in the lobby of this hotel, and this is a particular person who walks in. What is the impression that would you have of this person once you look at her? So I'm just going to play the video. I hope is the music audible? You don't need the music actually. So I'll just play that. Were you able to see the video? Saying, what did this lady do? She just walked in to an elevator and the other person who was there walked out. Now, her reaction must have been because she knew the person earlier. But even if that person didn't know it, we were ones who don't know the person. And if there are people who recognize this video, this is a clipping from Devil Wears Prada. Absolutely. One of my favorite films. I've seen it so many times. More of a spy. Yes. Sunita ma'am says more of a spy. Yes, because of the way she maybe removed her shades. So what I mean to say is, without even saying a word, we have tried to form an opinion about this person, and she has left an impression more than cheats are impossible to reverse or to undo. Many a times I would like to stress upon this, because there are at times where you will be able to reverse it. That is the case only when you have more interactions with that person. Now the point is, why are they important? The third section of this webinar, it's important because you will never get a second chance to make a first impression. I would say never, in case you never get to meet the person, but in case you meet him or her in subsequent meetings, you may have to struggle to remove the first negative impression you left. So why is it important for us to make an impactful impression? Because that impression, first impression, is going to give us a chance to prove yourself with your capability and ability. Whatever, there are people who say that what is the need of making a first impression? I know my job, I am much better than what the other person does. I'll prove myself through my work. That's the usual thing that comes to our mind. But there's no need to dress up. But the point is that you need that first chance. That first chance, to a great extent, depends upon the first impression you leave. And when you get that first impression, you get a chance to perform and prove yourself. But both these things have to happen simultaneously. That's very important. That I can get a chance, definitely, but whether I'll be able to get a chance to prove myself that I am capable of this profile, that will purely depend upon what first impression they happen very fast. They're very stubborn. Once, don't they say the first impression becomes the last impression? We are here to correct it. We don't want we want the first impression to become the last impression only in cases where we are going to meet the person only once. In case we are going to meet the person a more number of times, we will be able to change that negative first impression into a positive first impression. it gives one a strong start, and you get the benefit of doubt as well, because it puts you on a stronger footing. They last well beyond that moment. This is very important, because first impressions are not important only in the initial part of the meeting. They are important because what happens is those first impressions, in case they are to be followed by subsequent meetings, they are going to form the basis of get into a business with a business tycoon. He goes to visit that person in his building. Once he enters the building, there's a possibility that what happens is he enters the building, and over there he enters the lift, and suddenly a man comes and shouts that, please stop the lift for me. And the man doesn't stop the lift because he's in a hurry. He wants to attend the meeting. He reaches the floor where the meeting is. He settles down in the chair where the interview is to be conducted, and then suddenly, who walks in? Any guesses? Who walks in? The same person who asked him, requested him to stop the lift. Now, this person has already formed an opinion about him, that this is a man who was not considerate, did not have the etiquettes and the values to stop. There's a possibility he would not have given him a second chance, and the deal might not have materialized. So this is what is meant by primacy effect. Positive first impressions, if they are positive, they lead to social cohesion. They're going to lead to wonderful relations. And negative first impressions lead to biases and social prejudice. The positive first impression, the best is love at first sight. Don't we at times fall in love at first sight, and that first impression becomes actually a very, very impressive, has a lasting impression on us. Now, one may ask why to bother about creating a first impression, because every human being likes to be liked, until and unless you're not Monsieur Hamel from the last lesson, who doesn't like to be liked and actually shrivels up. So I think so those who are English facilitators teaching 11th and 12th standard, they'll be able to relate to this. This is with reference to a character in one of the chapters of 12th standard. So let's answer a few questions quickly. If you can jot down the answer to this. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So a feeling or emotion toward a fact or a state. Is it drawing a picture, walking down the road, speaking, or attitude? What is it? Kindly jot down in the chat box. I just love the example of Monsieur Hamel. Thank you, Kathy. So drawing a picture, walking down the road, it will be attitude, definitely. Thank you, Charul. Definition, the impression you make when you first meet someone is important. First impression counts, first expression counts, or first espresso or first coffee is scheduled with my friends, which have not yet happened. So which one is the answer? 1, 2, or 3? Quickly. 1, definitely. Thank you. For people to focus on negative sides rather than on positive ones. Tend, tent, or tended. This is very easy. Tend, obviously. That's great. It only takes a few seconds to form an impression, snap a judgment, encounter, or conscious of someone you meet for the first time. Form an impression, yes. You will not get a second chance to make a good first impression. You will not get a second chance. It is true. It is true. Why? Because in case you never get to meet that person, maybe I meet that person, I'll make a great impression. So you do not get a second chance. We'll go with that. Now, what are the elements of first impression so that we can use them to our benefit? We understand that within seconds, we have to work and make sure that the impression and the impact we leave is really, really impactful. how can we strive to create a positive impact, and within those few seconds that working on the elements of the first impression, and these are the elements. The appearance. See what meets the eye. What is the first thing you notice? You notice how he is dressed up, how whether he's well groomed or not, and then comes the body language, because the body language comes after the appearance. Then if he gets a chance to speak within those seconds, maybe he's saying a hello, or maybe he's calling the waiter with a finger like this, whether he's being politeful, could you please call the waiter? These are verbal impressions. Non-verbal communication talk about everything related to your tone, related to a number of things other than body language. So how to leverage to our advantage these different elements to perform an impactful first impression. So the first is appearance. We have to have a purpose. Sorry. Yeah, to have a purpose, we have to dress for a purpose whenever we go out. You might at times have no objective to walk down dressed up. Suppose I decide I want to go to the market next door to buy something, so I'll just walk in casual clothes. Casual clothes, yes, you may. Doesn't mean you have to suit up every time. But at the same time, you have to be presentable. You can't wear loose-fitting clothes that make you look at times unpresentable. So you need to wear clean, appropriate, properly fitting clothes. Make sure your hands and your body are clean and your hair is made up. You have to look presentable, no matter even if you're going to buy vegetables from the vegetable seller. The point is, you never know whom you let's take it at a lighter note, especially for young children. You never know whom you might bump into and what that can lead to later. The deal is you can't always plan when and where you're going to meet people, but you can always plan what to wear each and every time you leave the house. That's not difficult. It's very easy to do that. And that you're doing it for yourself. Now, the next thing is body language. The way you walk, the posture. Who doesn't like to walk? If I was sitting like this and giving you the whole session, who's going to take me seriously? Nobody's going to do that. At the same time, what happens when I'm sitting like this? My speech also becomes a bit, the tone varies. You will not take anybody seriously if somebody, because your body is definitely critical. It is essential to make that powerful first impression. Now, how you project yourself, this is very important. There are two things I want to make very clear. Your impressions are not only about your appearance. As we just saw, there are four elements, majorly four elements. Your impression depends upon definitely a portion of it, of your appearance. Apart from that, it depends upon your body language. It depends upon the verbal communication and the non-verbal communication. But why are we so bothered about creating the first impression? To impress others? No. We are doing this because we have to have that feel-good factor. I don't dress up for others. I dress up because I feel good. That is usually something that can be, that's where some people might vary in opinion. That I don't have to dress up. I feel comfortable in this way. That's why I go and walk down in my pajamas. That's fine. But the point is, just try not doing that, and you'll find a change in how your whole day goes ahead. So how you project yourself sends a message to yourself and is a reflection of what you think about yourself. This is the best part, I believe, about impactful impressions. You have to believe that you're doing it. And when you do it, you have to believe, you have to be genuine to yourself. Now, if there are people who are going to say, I don't mind going downstairs in casual clothes, which may not be presentable, because I'm fine with it. But tell me which human being does not like being president? Very few of them are there. Then that is a totally different issue. So impressions are out. It is not about only outward appearances. This is study, a research that backs all of this. Harvard professor Amy Cuddy in her research says your body language influences your confidence. And I love this study. I've tried to project it in an easy manner so that it doesn't take too much of time. What she did was she took a group of people and divided them into two groups. And one was group A and the other was group B. The group A was a high power pose with people with hands up. You might have heard about before going for an interview, just project yourself like this for 2 minutes. It's a high power pose. And the group B, low power pose, sitting with shrugged shoulders and all so sad. The body language itself talks about lack of confidence. So she told particular poses for 2 minutes. So they were like this for 2 minutes. It's not much time. 2 minutes like this and 2 minutes shrugged shoulders. So group A was higher power pose and group B was low power pose. Now, when we talk about that, she managed, and what did she do? She kept in mind, traced the cortisol levels, the stress levels before and after of these two groups. And what did she note? She noted that the high power group, their cortisol level decreased, their stress levels decreased by 25% in those 2 minutes. Whereas the low power group, their cortisol levels, their stress levels increased. Testosterone levels, which is related to confidence and enthusiasm. The same position, when they took a record, maintained a record of after and before the power poses and the lower power poses. The high power pose, they realized their confidence was boosted, their testosterone levels were boosted by 20%. Just 2 minutes can do that magic. And in their case, it was decreased by 10%. So when I say that impressions are not only about outward appearances, it is also about how you feel from within. If I decide to take a power pose before giving, suppose this presentation, I didn't do it this time, but somehow if you do it, if you're tense and session. So don't just fake it till you make it, fake it till you actually become it. And that's what Amy Cuddy said. So that was related to body language and how body language and appearance and how all these things matter. And it is actually about from within. The verbal impression, speak clearly. Clearly, you can't mumble in your mouth. You won't be able to make it convey what you want to convey. Short sentences, long sentences tend to lose meaning and focus, and you have to adjust your tone of voice. Don't hesitate adding excitement to it. I can't do without excitement. I have to be like this. I have to put in excitement into whatever I say. So verbal impression is a totally different game. The non-verbal is a totally different thing other than body language. Some consider it to be under body language, to be a subpart of non-verbal communication, but here it centers actually about listening and being an active listener. I'm not taking too much detail about all this in detail because this is a very vast session. These can be covered in separate sessions. So the whole rule of verbal, non-verbal, body language, how do they affect? It's the Urban Mehrabian's rule 73855. 73855 model, it says that only 7% of communication takes place through words we use, while 38% takes place through the tone and the voice, and the remaining 55% takes place through body language. So you understand the role body language has. This is again just you. So let's choose which first impression we would love to leave. What do I want someone to remember about me? How can I create the right impression? How do I want to be perceived? You need to keep your facial expressions soft and warm. Till there is no warmth in a communication, you will not have that connection with the person. There are hardly 9 minutes left, so I'll just wind it up because I want more questions from your side. Smile and relax your facial muscles. Without a smile, how can you connect with people? Don't squint your eyebrows to avoid looking angry. Keep your body posture relaxed and upright. Maintain eye contact when meeting or speaking to another person. I think this is what we miss, because in our online classes, we miss that eye contact with us. Somehow I relate to that a lot. So let's choose boost. Wouldn't we want to have a warm smile? Obviously, we would not like to be dressed like this for any interview, or even maybe walking down the street. I think so it's too shabby. Again, it's an opinion. It may vary from person to person. This is now this is overdressed. So you will have minimalistic jewelry so that what you say is the focus of attention. How would you dress up? This is shabbily dressed up. This is different. Again, there are different opinions that again may be conditioned according to your preconceived notions. When there's a seminar going on, if you're sitting like this, it's oh God, when is this going to be over? I hope none of you are sitting like this. And interesting, yes, I hope many of you are sitting like this during this session. So that shows that you are either bored or interested. So body language gives away a lot of cues. So to look the part, you have to dress up that way. And you feel as if, yes, I'm going to go and conquer the world. I'll go and nail the interview. I'm going to be successful. Then you act the part. If you look the part, you feel the part, you act the part, and then you become the part. So it's not about faking it. It's about faking it so that you actually become it. So this is what I had to say. I hope I've been able to convey, justify this session. And Kaushal, I'd love to have question answers. That's the most interesting part of this session, and I look forward to a set of questions.
Yes, all the attendees, if you like the session, so we love to have the questions. Please post your questions in the chat box. If you have any query, any question, so we are waiting. One question I have with me.
Yeah. Fine. If there's any in the chat box or privately
if
sent to any.
somebody wants to unmute and want to ask directly, so you
anything
can.
That is not clear.
Anybody who wants to ask question, so they can post a question over here. We are running short of time. Already we have 5 minutes in hand.
Thank you, Khyati. Thank you. I loved each and every thing about the session. Thanks a lot. This is a motivating remark for me. Thank you, Charul. Thank you.
Please post.
Thank you, Monica ma'am.
Comment and post your question. Any query, any question.
What were the takeaways? Anything you liked? What is the key takeaway? That's an easy thing to ask, maybe. A key takeaway. What I love is that despite the fact that everybody says impressions are all about outward appearance, I believe it's about inward appearance. It's about how you feel and how you project yourself.
Yes. How you
my feeling good doesn't have to depend. My
How
feeling good
impactful.
doesn't have to depend upon others. My feeling good is in my control.
Yes. And how
Thank you,
impactful you
Neelam.
are. How impactful you are when you go somewhere, and we are very conscious. Really, it makes us conscious that how we look like, how we are going to speak in front of others, how they are going to take.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. There is a question
So,
from
yeah,
Shalini, ma'am.
appearances are deceptive. What do you have to say? Yes, I love this question. Thank you for such a great question. See, what happens is I've always said your first impressions are not always supposed to be your last impression. There is a possibility that I might use all this to deceive someone. There is a possibility. But that is why we say that the first impression we make on others or others make on us should not always be the last impression. They have to be further. They have to be further, you can say, subjugated, not subjugated, sorry. They have to be further substantiated with evidences. But that happens only if we get, if that person is able to deceive us in one go. That is also possible. That is also possible.
Yes, there are a
Yes,
few
need to
more
press up.
comments.
I hope Shalini ma'am I've been able to clear the doubt. Thank you, Shalini ma'am.
Kathy ma'am has written, I used to switch off my camera during my online classes cause of members, but now I guess I would switch it on. Yes, ma'am, you can
Yes,
do it.
you should. You should. Definitely. Just be careful that you switch off the annotations and all, and there are certain things you have to be careful about.
Yes, it's an
Thank you,
easy way
Shalini
to
ma'am. I'm
connect.
happy. I'm happy I've been able to clear your doubt. Thank you, Roshni ma'am. So we can maybe call it a day. Everybody has to go and cook food, right? It's
Yeah, we
time
can.
for them.
2 minutes 28 seconds. We are still waiting for any other question or any other comment. If you want to post it, please post it in the chat box. So I think
Thank you,
everybody loved the
Pramila
session.
ma'am.
Yes, wonderful session. There's one more, but it's a number, not a name.
Right. So any key takeaways? Maybe you can let me know. Any key takeaways?
Anybody can speak out, or anybody can write in chat box any takeaways, which takeaways we people have taken from here, from this session, because on a high demand again for the session, ma'am is here. Ritu ma'am again came for the session and she has given up her time. Thank you, ma'am, for boosting again.
Thank you. I see a question Bindu ma'am is asking, is makeup important? Makeup comes in appearance, ma'am. You can, if you're not very, a makeup doesn't mean a loud makeup. If you're not comfortable with that, you can use minimalistic makeup just to make yourself presentable. Makeup is just a way to enhance your beauty. And if you're not comfortable, the key point is you have to be genuine to your own self. Because even by wearing makeup, if you're not confident, you're so conscious, then the whole idea of putting on makeup is lost.
So there's one more comments I
Yes,
can
ma'am.
say. Impressions are the reflections of our personality. Very true, Alvina. Very, very true.
Thank you, Alvina. That's a wonderful remark.
And
Body
Monica
language
said,
matters a lot. Yes, it does. Feel great inside genuinely, and the impression is long lasting. That's the point. I love this point about impressions. You have to be genuine.
Yeah.
If I in that, the key point is to impress yourself, to make yourself feel better.
So we are going to wind up now. I think the time is over. So thank you so much, Ritu ma'am, again. It was really an insightful session for us, and about self-confidence, about the authenticity and the consciousness, that how we have to present ourselves. It is my key takeaway, and I think everybody has their own key takeaways, that what they get from this session, from today's. And non-verbal gestures that reveal many things about our personalities. how we are presenting ourselves. So I think it is very important for us. And I think I hope in future people are going to have and they follow the same thing. So let's take this learning forward. And I would like to thank our organizers, Matthew sir, and All India Educators Forum, and all the attendees to attend the session. Thank you very much, and we'll meet again in the news, and we will post it soon. Thank you for giving us the time. Thank you, Ratna ma'am, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.